Space News, 25, June 3, 2024. Hello again. Thank you for being here with me once more. I hope you are very well today. I am Marie. This information can be seen as science fiction, or as the viewer sees best, and I post it for entertainment purposes only. Still, I take my information very seriously, and for whoever has eyes to see. In the last edition of Space News, number 24, I shared with you an unfortunate incident involving one of the Moghyays pet birds and a service elevator that accidentally squashed it when it wandered into the rear part of the pantry, right behind the kitchen's refrigerators. The bird was probably following the scent of fresh fruit, as that is what Moghyays birds eat. The image I am presenting here best represents a Moghyays bird, indigenous to some large islands on planet Tema, in Taygeta, in the Pleiades. They are about the size of a large house cat, and can roughly be described as a mixture of an iguana and a parrot. They only eat fruits and vegetables, with occasional insects, and they do not have wings, only 4 legs with clawed hands and feet to climb trees efficiently, up where they spend most of their time. Moghyays are homeothermic, which means that they can keep their body temperature at the same level despite any change in the temperature around them. Homeothermic animals are often described as warm-blooded, therefore Moghyays are classified as a species of bird, and not of reptile. Some people in Taygeta consider them to be good pets, although back there they are also considered to be a pest and a problem for fruit and vegetable farmlands, as only a few of them can devastate the whole crop in a matter of hours. Back on planet Tema, they luckily do not inhabit all of the planet, being that they are isolated to exist only in a limited amount of large islands, where they thrive as they do not have any natural enemies. Starship Toleka has a large population of pet Moghyays birds on board, who live in the trees in the Central Park area of this big starship. The problem is that the population of Moghyays birds has exploded in the last few years, and even more so in the last few months as many of their little chicks who hatched last year have grown to be adults now, and have started to lay eggs and hatch their own chicks. Last year was the record year in the number of Moghyays hatches. Unlike house cats, Moghyays birds are not commonly found on board Taygetan starships, as I have just finished researching, being that these were brought on board Toleka sometime back in 2014 or 2015, when Askit and Rochelle of Tema were in command of the Taygetan fleet, before Queen Alenym came to power. Although these on board Toleka are well fed, they have started to venture inside the starship, perhaps looking to expand their territory, and while they are at it they have been quite aggressive against our pet house cats and even against crew members. They have proven difficult to contain because doors cannot always be shut, and as cats have permission to roam nearly all the whole ship freely, the computer that opens and closes doors for them often mistakes a Moghyays for a cat, perhaps due to their similar size, so much for supposedly advanced artificial intelligence. Since the incident where a service freight elevator squashed and killed one, the other Moghyays have started to go into the living spaces on this ship in greater numbers, much to the annoyance of all of us, and especially of our cats, almost as if they were looking for their missing one. A few days ago about 15 to 20 Moghyays managed to get into the main pantry spaces, behind this ship's main kitchens, where they feasted on all the fruits and vegetables that are usually kept in the open, as no similar incident has ever happened before. And it was truly problematic to trap them all, and take them back into the ship's central park where they belong. Nearly all the fruits and vegetables were damaged or eaten, as those birds only bite one, and go to the next without finishing eating the first. Luckily the supply starship, Sasketch, arrived to replenish the pantries the very next day. As the new fruits and vegetables arrived only a few hours after the Moghyays incident in the pantries, the crew had no time to sort out which fruits were contaminated with Moghyays, and which ones were new arrivals, also mostly because the entire crew is highly overtasked. This led to the next incident. On the afternoon of last Thursday, May 30th, Queen Alenym walked past the pantries as usual and grabbed for herself a few peaches and an apple, which she consumed while resting from her work. A few hours later she was feeling very sick, and was taken to this ship's medical deck spaces where the ship's surgeon, Sene Trey, ran several tests on her, concluding that Queen Alenym was experiencing an acute food poisoning and infection due to contamination with Moghyays saliva and droppings. This is the first time we have ever seen Alenym get sick, and so badly. She has been hospitalized in this ship's medical spaces where she has remained since last Thursday night, 4 days ago. As the days have passed, Queen Alenym has improved a lot, but she has not yet fully recovered. Queen Alenym, unable to function in her role as usual, has caused another thing to happen. She had to sign an agricultural agreement with the mollusk Maya people, who live on the 3 planets that orbit the star, Maya, in the M45 Pleiades star cluster, some 391.4 light-years away from Earth. This cooperation agreement was considered very important, and postponing it was not an option, so Alenym asked me to sign the agricultural agreement for her, as I am her future successor anyway. Although I had never been at an official diplomatic reunion, much less in the role of a leader, I was very nervous, and honestly, I wanted to jump out the window, but I stood my ground, and accepted the challenge, as I had no other choice. My mother and team dressed me in a long white dress, again, with a small diadem crown on my head, and headed to this ship's remote presence room, which is located behind the CIC and bridge areas, up front, right behind Alenym's office. The systems were turned on and synchronized with planet Tema, using full muon communication frequencies. This communication system is used for real-time contact with places that are several light-years away, and it is instant, with no lag or waiting time, as it utilizes lepton muon neutrino bursts to cause a gravity ripple, which travels through the ether instantly to all places equally, regardless of how near or far they may be, as from the ether, no distances exist. This system is also called codified gravity pulses, and is what nearly all advanced interstellar cultures use as a communication method between them and their worlds, as well as among starships that may be separated by hundreds of light-years, as distance means nothing for this system. This is also why looking for extraterrestrials using or listening to radio and microwaves is completely useless, as no one out here is using such a basic set of slow and primitive frequencies, but I digress. As I walked through the passageway, I saw the remote presence, full immersion room's door open, and it was fun to see that it led directly to the private chambers behind the High Council's Great Hall in Toleka City, Tema, where I could even see its vast gardens through the elegant tall windows. As I stepped through the door, I literally had one foot on Starship Toleka orbiting Earth, and the other in the High Council's building, in Tema 440 light-years away. As I walked past, the door closed behind me, so as I turned to see that, I found myself in Tema instantly. Toleka was gone, and I was there in the High Council's hall, all my senses, sight, hearing, and smell, telling me that I was there in Tema, teleported instantly 440 light-years away. My body and mind were completely unaware that I was physically still in Starship Toleka, as all my senses were completely hijacked by the full immersion, remote presence, muon communication system. I was there in Tema by using a super high-resolution hologram system, complete with full sensory stimulators, which is so advanced it is impossible to tell from reality. Back in the real Tema, another set of highly advanced hologram projecting systems, also with full sensory generators, projected a super high-resolution image of Mari Swaruu, myself, walking through the passageways of the government building, and into the great central hall where the 3 Mollusk Maya representatives, dozens of Taygetan journalists, yes there are those here too, and countless other people awaited my arrival. News of Queen Alenym getting sick traveled fast, same as the news that I was to replace her for this event, which suddenly passed from being a simple routine agricultural agreement to the first ever appearance at an official government event of who will be the next Taygetan queen. I stepped into the center of the great hall, where my 2 Alenym guards, Alenym and Cassia, you know them, awaited me, and who were also using the same remote presence system. They were there for protocol reasons, not for real safety ones, although there were other real guards there back in Tema. The Great Hall of the Taygetan High Council is round, and all made of white marble, where 72 tall columns hold up a round white domed roof with 72 windows, for the light of the sun Taygeta to illuminate its interior. The hall is mostly empty, only with steps around the center and along the columns, except at the very rear where the stage is, steps that also serve as seating for the people there to observe any event. As I walked in, Taygetan strong music started to play, and the journalists there presented me to the audience as Princess Heiress, Mari Swaruu, in her first official appearance, representing Queen Alenym I. The 3 Mollusk Maya representatives, with their main ambassador in front and the other 2 behind him, one on each side, walked up to me with a rectangular gadget you can see as an advanced tablet. We greeted each other with a slight bow, and he presented the tablet to me without giving it to me physically. It turned on and a bluish hologram with an egg-shaped holocenter appeared over it. The face of the Mollusk Maya ambassador appeared reflected on one side, and mine on the other. I took out my pen, a real physical one I took with me when I entered the full immersion system, and I signed the treaty at the base of the tablet, with my name and as you know it, Mari Swaruu. The ambassador did the same on his side, and the tablet turned off as the Taygetan High Council chairwoman, Makatotasimu, who was really there in Tema, took it from his hands. The treaty was signed. We all said goodbye with the same light bow, and under the scrutiny of dozens of journalists with their little cameras stuck to their eyeglasses, at each side of their heads, filmed everything in 3D high resolution. I said a few words of encouragement about what this treaty meant, and I took a few questions from the journalists, as so did the Mollusk Maya ambassadors. I was asked if I knew if Queen Alenym I was feeling better, and they also asked me if I knew if Queen Alenym was planning to abdicate soon, due to my presence there, and my taking on her duty and tasks with the Taygetan people as their representative. I answered clearly that Queen Alenym has no plans of abdicating soon, or that she has not told me so, if that was the case. Then I was asked many times if Project Second Contact was already rolling out and operational, and if not so, when it would be. I answered that it was still in its preparation stages, as described before, and that they, in Tema, would be the first to know when it would start. Then I said a few words of appreciation for the Taygetan people, for all their support and interest, and I walked back into the rear private parts of the Taygetan High Council Great Hall, with my 2 Alenym guards, Alenym and Cassia at my sides behind me. Once we were alone in one of the long beautiful passageways with black marble floors and great windows looking out to the flowered gardens outside, and with the Temerian Sea in the background, some few meters away, we stopped our walk, and I pronounced the words, "Moma, open the door." Out of nowhere, a rectangular door appeared, there with nothing behind it, yet through its interior, we could see the passageway behind Alenym's office and this ship's bridge and CIC deck areas. We walked past this door, and it closed as we did so. Cassia, Alia and I were back here in Starship Toleka. We talked about what we had just experienced while they accompanied me to my room below, where I removed the diadem crown, set it on the little table at the entrance by the pneumatic door, and got out of my long white dress, and into something more comfortable. Then I looked at my bed, beside the window that looks down to Earth passing some 500 kilometers below. I fell on it, and I fell asleep for a whole hour. My stressful experience was over. The details about the treaty will be included in the upcoming Space News video. This will be all for today. As always, thank you for watching my video, and for liking, sharing, and subscribing for more. And I hope to see you here next time. With much love, your non-human friend, Mari Swaruu.